when you hear that audio, you know that Larry can't be far behind. And he's with us today. But before we get into this, I just want to read a little quote that I think typifies the listening audience. And it's from good old Jack Kerouac from Visions of Gerard. No thought, no hope of the mind can dispel, nay, no millions in the bank can break the truth of the winter night, and that we are not made for this world. And I just want to say thank you for the people who've been listening, because, you're not made for this world. We're the one percenters. And, it's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's just a thing. But you have a pretty decent developed brain. You have a large helping of common sense. And you work on solutions, not problems. And you don't stick around waiting for something, some deus ex machina to come along, which is not going to come along. So I just want to thank you for that. Larry's doing the 30th part of the series. It's now the final part. And it will be accessible, all 30 parts, on Angie's site. That one will be, one of the freebies, along with some of the others like Lusitania, the Civil War. So, like they always say, if you missed any part or would like to hear it again, it will be up there for as long as Angie's heart keeps pounding. And God bless her and thank her very much for all that she did. So anyway, without further ado, here is Larry, and we're working on part 30. And where's this all going to take us?
Well, I wanted to recap the whole series to an extent today. And I wanted to go into kind of a follow-up on a couple of things before I got started into the main body of what I wanted to say.
All right, we got about 3 days. We should get that done. Holy mackerel, dude.
Yeah, well, I just, it's not going to take that long, really. Just quotes here and there.
Please don't tell me we got a phone call. No calls until the second hour.
It's probably Gene.
It's Bonaducci.
It's not Gene, no.
Who is it?
It's Dave from Rhode Island.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
To what do we owe this great honor?
Well, I can't hear you on the internet.
You can't?
So the link isn't working.
All right.
I figure.
Do you want to hitchhike and just listen on the phone?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I don't know if anybody's got a problem out there. I know that I was listening through Real Player. It might be a player thing too. But anyway, Jay, if that's what you want to do, no problem. You're welcome.
Or also, if you have any other ways to get there besides Real Player, that'd be good too.
Well, I'll tell you what. Jim just emailed me in the chat room that it's streaming, and I think it is. So, if you got another player that you can use, try that. Or reboot if you have to. But no matter what, if you call back in, I'll understand why you're there. No problem.
All right, I'll talk to you second hour anyway.
Okay, good deal.
Okay.
All right, bro. No problem.
All right, bye.
It could have been worse. It could have been Bonaducci.
That's right. Always to be worse.
All right.
Due to technical difficulties.
You never know. You got a choice of four players there. So
that's
anyway,
live, you never know what's going to happen.
That's why I always have loved live radio.
Okay, well, I was going to get started on some stuff here. I want to read one brief quote about the Kennedy assassination, which was a major portion of the series. And this one comes from Jim Marr's book, Secret Societies Threaten to Take Over America. It says, one insightful view of the Kennedy assassination, possibly based on inside information, came from Nazi SS officer Helmut Streicher, who worked with both Reinhard Gehlen and Otto Skorzeny, as well as for the CIA, including time served under former director, drumroll please, George H.W. Bush. On a CIA assignment in Africa in late 1963, Streicher was quoted as saying, one of the worst-kept secrets in the CIA is the truth about the president's murder. It wasn't Castro or the Russians. The men who killed Mr. Kennedy were CIA contract agents. John Kennedy's murder was a two-part conspiracy murder. One was the action end with the killers, and the other was the deeper part, the acceptance and protection of that murder by the intelligence apparatus that controls the way the world operates. It had to happen. The man was too independent for his own good, end quote. No serious assassination researcher, this is Mars, no serious assassination researcher truly believes that Kennedy was killed solely by German Nazis. But as previously reported, men with Nazi connections before, during, and after World War II who were also members of secret societies were most opposed to Kennedy's policies. They also had the power and influence to effect such an assassination, and certainly were capable of blocking any meaningful investigation, whether by the government or the media, right up to today. It may not be sheer coincidence that the men most closely involved in the Warren Commission investigation of Kennedy's death were John J. McCloy and Allen Dulles, both men, as we have seen, with close Nazi connections, along with Gerald R. Ford, who was spying on the commission for J. Edgar Hoover. Another area that we talked quite a bit about was the Arab-Israeli conflict and the Muslim Brotherhood, which is nothing more than the old Arab Nazis. Talked about Hajj Amin al-Husseini, who was basically the head of the Muslim Brotherhood at one time, and a very well-known Nazi, Islamic Nazi. And his successor was Yasser Arafat, who was a protege of Odessa chief Otto Skorzeny. He became acquainted with him when he was in Egypt, when Skorzeny was in Egypt as an employee of the CIA. And I think one thing that I brought out in this series, and I think is true, is that there is an attempt to polarize both sides of the Arab-Israeli conflict and instigate a war of mutual annihilation between the Arabs and the Jews. In fact, Third Reich SS strategist Otto von Bolschwing may have drawn his World War II experience to have tried to engineer that scenario in which the Jews would be scapegoated. And I said all that to bring up an article that came out of the Asia Times on 5/11 this month. Muslim Brotherhood Chooses Chaos by Spengler. Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood signaled its intent on Sunday to push the country into economic chaos. With liquid foreign exchange reserves barely equal to 2 months, imports and panic spreading through the Egyptian economy, the Brotherhood's presidential candidate, Karat al-Shader, warned that it would block a U.S. $3 billion emergency loan from the IMF unless the military government ceded power. As Egypt heads toward chaotic breakdown, Western observers ask how its economy might be stabilized. This appears to be the wrong question to begin with, for the Muslim Brotherhood will not allow the West to stabilize Egypt's financial position. The right question is, who will benefit from the chaos? At this writing, the Muslim Brotherhood appears to be the winner by default, for no other actor has the courage and cold blood to exploit the emerging crisis. America, by contrast, is locked into the defense of a deteriorating fixed position, and Egypt's military leaders are more concerned with feathering their own nest in exile like the Iranian generals in 1979. The Brotherhood believes that widespread hunger will strengthen its political position, and is probably correct to believe this. As the central government's corrupt and rickety system of subsidies collapses, local Islamic organizations will take control of food distribution and establish a virtual dictatorship on the streets. American analysts mistook the protesters of Tahrir Square for revolutionaries. The Muslim Brotherhood now reveals itself to be a revolutionary organization on the Leninist or Nazi model. As a revolutionary organization that rose under the influence of Nazi Germany's wartime foreign ministry, the Brotherhood has no qualms about exacerbating Egypt's economic misery if it furthers its agenda. Paul Berman's 2010 book, The Flight of the Intellectuals, summarized exhaustive academic research into wartime activities, showing that the Brotherhood was shaped by Nazi ideology. Berman's report evoked outrage, but has stood up well to its critics. Well, all I can say is I don't claim to be any kind of a seer, any kind of a prophet or anything, but I was saying last year and brought up a lot of evidence that the Arab Spring was nothing more than really a nuclear winter, and that's really where it's headed. And I think it's headed for an exacerbation of the situation in the Middle East. With the Muslim Brotherhood finally taking over after trying for about 80 years, they're finally going to be able to take over the government of Egypt, and I think that's just going to directly lead to more trouble in the Middle East, and eventually will lead to a new crusade. But we've gone through all of that. I just wanted to bring this up to show where things are headed. It won't be long before Egypt will be in their control.
Let me ask you two quick questions.
Yeah.
One, you and I talked a long time ago about Sudetenndorf and his role. I consider him somewhat of a link between, Germany, ideologically, although he did spend much time down there, between Germany and Islam. What I'm asking is, were they rife for the Nazi ideology? Because, in a sense, I don't know if the, I wouldn't say the Muslim world, but the Arab world probably didn't think too badly about Germany.
No, the Muslim world was behind Germany in World War II.
Back it up now. What about? Well, actually, they were allies in World War I. The Ottomans were, right?
Yeah, exactly. The Ottoman Empire was part of the Central Powers.
What was the attraction, though, Larry? I mean, can you come up with?
Well, there were two things. Several things actually. But I guess the most important ones on a practical level was the hatred of the British and the French.
Okay.
They were victims of colonial rule, and they really despised the British and the French. And I think also it's just the culture there lends itself to authoritarian, totalitarian, attitude. And I think fascism fit right in with the Islamic radicals' view of the way the world should be. And also, of course, I didn't even add that, but I should, is anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is bigger and was bigger it has been bigger in the Arab world, I should say, than really any other place, even more so than Europe. And a lot of that had to do with they're being prodded into it by the Nazis. Nazi propaganda reached the Middle East early on, and the Muslim Brotherhood was influenced by both Mussolini's fascist and especially the Third Reich and Nazi propaganda.
I always get this wrong, so you're going to have to help me out here. With the Eckharts, one of them was
Dietrich Eckhart. Is that who you're thinking of?
Which is the one that was more pivotal in this role that you're talking about?
Well, Dietrich Eckhart was kind of the spiritual leader, one of the spiritual leaders, and I say that loosely, for Hitler and the Thule Society.
Okay.
Eckhart was a black magician, and he initiated Hitler according to himself, he initiated Hitler into the black arts and into basically what I would call Satanism.
Right.
He said that, and Hitler dedicated Mein Kampf to Dietrich Eckhart.
Yeah, it wasn't in his. All right, now it comes back to me, recalling the story that supposedly he gave Hitler the salute, and Crowley gave Churchill the repellent to that, which was the V for victory. If you remember that. Lastly, they seem like a wild card, and at times, they really all do look like they're still Bedouins. But Saudi Arabia just seems to play both sides of the fence, and they just do it. I mean, they are Teflon. They just do it, and they get away with it. But I'm just wondering, in time to come, whether or not, basically, they're going to have to go one way or the other. And even they seem to be a little bit more stable as far as leadership goes. So, but is the Brotherhood central to Saudi Arabia, and do they have any kind of dealings with the Wahhabi?
No. The Muslim Brotherhood and the Wahhabis are too much alike, and the Muslim Brotherhood is more Nazi as opposed to.
Keep going. Go ahead. We'll cut that.
The Muslim Brotherhood is more centered on Nazism.
Keep talking to me, bro.
Not sure what's happening there. As opposed to the Wahhabis, of course, they really don't have a problem with the anti-Semitism. I think the Wahhabis, in a way, kind of enjoy the role of being the financiers to the final solution. And I think that, they're more than they work with the Muslim Brotherhood, but I think the Muslim Brotherhood and the Saudis are kind of fighting it out for superiority in that area of the world. They're both, wanting to, what should I say? Both want to be top dog. In the case of the Muslim Brotherhood, when they were thrown out of Egypt, they went to Saudi Arabia and they stirred up quite a bit of trouble there. And in fact, there were rumblings that they tried to take over the throne of Saudi Arabia, and just as they had tried to take over in Egypt, and they got thrown out. And of course, you know that Al-Qaeda is basically an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, who knows what that's about anyway?
Yeah.
You know the story about that.
It's very murky. It really does.
Well, that one French.
Well, we just know there are a bunch of evil SOBs, a whole bunch of
right.
them.
But the Al-Qaeda tale, real quick. I mean, that one French general, I believe, or at least a pretty top-ranking military officer who was involved in the UN, claims Al-Qaeda was a computer.
Mm-hmm.
The base.
Yeah, the base.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
And that's what he said. Of course, you can't find him anymore.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, the point is clear too. But and lastly, Larry, and I'll get out of here. I promised I wouldn't do this, so of course I broke my promise. I mean, why wouldn't I?
Well, it's your show.
That's one thing I'll not miss hearing. Jim just wrote in the. Wrote in the chat room here, CIA, and of course, yeah, probably. I mean, that's willing stooges.
Yeah.
But is it your belief even? I would have to agree with you that we've always talked about, and we forget about this often, that one of the reasons, if not the foremost reason, that they give us for the war to come will be because of religious intolerance.
Mm-hmm.
The Jews hate the Muslims, the Muslims hate the Jews, everybody hates the Christians, well,
they're trying to stir up a war of mutual annihilation between the Arabs and the Jews, and then the Third Crusade, or not Third Crusade, but the modern Crusade will take place, and that involves the New World Order, the Knights of Malta, and the Vatican, etc.
But
that's a real heavy subject. I couldn't even really get into it very much here.
But we do share the belief that for the most part, they're going to get annihilated. They're being used right now.
Yeah, they're being set up right now. That's what the Muslim Brotherhood is really doing. I think they're being set up to set up the war. I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood is as soon as they take over in Egypt, and they're almost there, they've almost got it. Once they take over, and they're really the rulers on the street, and they put themselves into a virtual dictatorship, you're going to see a conflict really heat up in the Middle East.
Well, I think you hit it on the head, though, too, didn't you? I mean, could we not see this being finagled, if you will?
Oh, yeah.
With the Arab Spring being turned into the Arab...
That was all a lot of jive. That's being set up by the New World Order. The Arab Spring was nothing more, like I say, than a nuclear winter. That's what it's setting up is the war in the Middle East. It's going to be a confederation of nations. I mean, all over that area of the world.
Well, isn't it possible? Isn't it possible that the Brotherhood?
North Africa and the Middle East.
I'm sorry, bro. Isn't it possible that the Brotherhood actually will be the custodians of this new supposed great, new regimes, democracy, blah blah blah?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could you not see that this is where the Brotherhood will be installed?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, and that's what their thinking is too. And I mean, they're just Nazis with an Islamic twist to it. They're every bit as evil, maybe even more so. They're much more restrictive toward women than the European Nazis ever were. I mean, they treat women almost as badly as they treat Jews.
I would remind everybody, and no one will remember this, but I think back, it was in 2001, in March, where some stupid resolution got up to the Hill that said, we better check in on what the Iranians are doing to their women. And I'm like, this is like March 2001. We haven't even, obviously, for obvious reasons, we haven't even gotten involved with Afghanistan, quote, because of 9/11. And this thing comes up there, and it's like, why are we doing this now? And, it's none of our damn business, really.
No, it's really not. But, what do you expect? Islam is always, been very oppressive toward women. It's just part of the culture there. Some of the countries and some of the branches of Islam are worse than others. The Wahhabis and people like the Muslim Brotherhood, my God, they treat women badly. It's worse than a second-class citizen. They're basically, treated as chattel,
Well, it's
slaves.
So I can understand then why the women are so interested in taking their men to the United States.
Yeah.
You know?
You can see it. You can see their motivation there.
Oh, yes. All right. Thank you.
Okay. The next thing I was going to talk about, I didn't get into a great deal of the New World Order and the religion of the future, world religion, but I wanted to an extent today as much as possible. And got a quote from a man named Willie Peterson, who wrote an article on New World Order religion, and he says, in order to reach their aims of world unity and thus engage the whole world in service to the plan, with a capital P, enlightened Freemasons and New Agers have been pushing for collective motifs that promote monistic pantheism and unity. This is why the chief instigators to the Globalist League of Nations and the United Nations have been theosophists, trying to work out the plan. This is why the verbiage and aims of the UN is for world peace and brotherhood. It is a spiritual undertaking in a secular world. Lucis Trust has had 3 think tanks located at the UN Plaza in New York for around 50 years. No wonder the former Assistant Secretary General to the UN, Robert Mueller, is a devoted disciple of Alice Bailey, whose book, A Treatise on White Magic, forms the basis for the Robert Mueller schools. These people are called the torchbearers or light bearers of the New World Order. A spiritual plan has been traced back to the time of Nimrod and the Tower of Babel, up through to the Illuminati and onwards, and we can call that Mystery Babylon. And in speaking about theosophy, I wanted to go to an article by our friend Alex Constantine, who's written quite a few really good works on anti-fascist works. And in this one, it's called The Spider Web. He talks about the secret history and in particular about theosophy. The secret history's most important figures are perhaps self-proclaimed Russian mystic Madame Helena Blavatsky and her American husband, Colonel Henry Olcott. The result of their collaboration would thrust the world into the abyss and cost the lives of millions. Their theosophy ideology became popular among the middle classes in Germany at the end of the 1800s, mostly because of its introduction to Eastern religious and mystical ideas. Blavatsky claimed to have been party to revelations from hidden masters called the Great White Brotherhood, who resided somewhere in the Himalayas. But Blavatsky later admitted in letters to his sister that this was a code name for the Rosicrucian hierarchy who funded her. It is clear her work is influenced, if not sourced, in the work of Masonic demagogue General Albert Pike, the American South's sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, Civil War war criminal, and leading member of the Ku Klux Klan, who revealed Rosicrucian Masonic doctrine and its Aryan heritage in his unpublished pamphlet Morals and Dogma in 1871 that was distributed to the Sublime Prince of the Royal Secrets 32nd degree Scottish Rite Initiates. Man, I love those titles.
Yep.
Anyway, Albert Pike is regarded as bringing order out of chaos by rewriting the ancient rites of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Formerly devised by groups in France, including the Council of the Emperors of the East and West, now known as the European Council of Princes, and the Royal Stuart chapter of Claremont, based at, drumroll please, College of the Jesuits, Paris in 1761. Pike modernized these rituals for the modern American leader and explained their Aryan source and meaning in Morals and Dogma and numerous other works. At this time, Pike was head of the Supreme Council of Scottish Rite Freemasonry based in Charleston, South Carolina, and following the Civil War, dropped charges of treason against Pike, the Supreme Council moved to Washington, D.C. Blavatsky's breakthrough book, The Secret Doctrine, was an attempt to popularize the racist concepts of Rosicrucian belief at a time of great change and turmoil. America was recovering from the Civil War, and the abolition of slavery was forcing a redefinition of the West's perception of race. The radical decision to reveal the beliefs of the power elite came at a time when desperate measures seemed necessary. The Priory of Sion, within the royal houses of Europe and various occult circles, were attempting to create a movement with their synarchy ideology, a politicized form of Rosicrucian doctrine. Synarchy advocate a government by secret society, an elite of enlightened initiates who rule from behind the scenes. This found expression through the writings of Joseph St. Yves de Valdre, which called for the infiltration of the three pillars of society: political and social institutions, economic institutions, and religious institutions. The infamous Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, commonly known by its English variant Zion, are clearly some form of manifesto for the implementation of Synarchy's aims, and are signed by the representatives of Zion of the 33rd degree. Not surprisingly, the content of the protocols have much similarity to Albert Pike's central work, Morals and Dogma. Synarchy was opposed to the ideas of democracy and social equality, as only the Synarchists were the, quote, natural leaders. As the masses of Europe were rising up rebelliously against their feudal overlords, the Holy Roman Empire was in disarray. The First Reich, founded in 800 by the Emperor of the West Charlemagne, had been smashed by Napoleon following the French Revolution. With Napoleon's eventual defeat, the Holy Roman Empire reformed in a weakened and splintered state. Prussia/Germany took the former Gnostic Cathar regions of Lorraine and Alsace back from revolutionary France and established a second empire under Kaiser Wilhelm I. He was allied with the Austrian, Hungarian, Croatian Empire, which was still under the control of the Grail bloodline House of Habsburg, who had been ruling for the previous 600 years. Power was still very much in the hands of the princes of Europe and the Vatican, who found unity within their occult secret church that has historically always existed behind the visible church. Theosophy was born in 1875, a key time of political upheavals throughout Europe, as Russia was moving toward revolution following the example set by American France. The Theosophy movement was an attempt to occultize the newly emerging industrial and merchant class and provide a spiritual antidote to Marxism straight from the Rosicrucian philosophy that previously had been for only hand-picked initiates. The Grail aristocratic families of the Holy Roman Empire were planning to reunify the old territories and needed the control and support of the managing classes. It is no coincidence that their plan to infiltrate Freemasonry and seize absolute control of the Western world's social, political, and economic institutions, as outlined in the Protocols of Zion, appeared simultaneously with the Synarchy ideology and the creation of Madame Blavatsky's Theosophy movement. At the turn of the 20th century, this agenda was again outlined in the Priory of Sion, Haran du Val d'Or, that described a theocracy wherein nations will be no more than provinces, their leaders but proconsuls in the service of a world occult government consisting of an elite. This regime of the great king will be a double hegemony of the papacy and the empire of the Vatican and of the Habsburgs. This ambitious scheme was thwarted with the assassination of Habsburg heir Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria in 1914, an event that ignited the First World War. Theosophy's teachings about enlightened mystics guiding human evolution toward the creation of a higher super race and pseudo-theories about the ancient Aryan civilization of Atlantis promoted dangerous racial theories that formed the core of Austrian and German anti-Semitism. From an aristocratic background, Helena Blavatsky, the widow of Russian Army General Count Blavatsky, designed elaborate genetic family trees that clearly illustrated the superiority of the Aryan people over the other races of the world. These strange beliefs were heralded by middle-class occultists throughout Germany and Austria-Hungary and merged with their extreme right-wing nationalist politics. Hence, complete reunification of the Holy Roman Empire, effectively abolished by Napoleon in 1806, became a priority not only of the ruling aristocracies, but also of the merchant middle classes. The ensuing horrors of the First World War were an attempt to take France from the democratic republicans by a vengeful aristocracy who had seen their brethren murdered by the French Revolution. The new middle-class occultists, such as Guido von List and his Armanen Order, Baron von Sabotendorf and his Tulish Society, and Lanz von Liebenfels and the Order of the New Templars, referred to the First World War as a holy war, revealing the quasi-religious and philosophical motives of their hidden masters. It has been documented that Nazi party leaders Adolf Hitler, Heinrich Himmler, Rudolf Hess, and Hermann Goering were all members of these occult secret societies. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Sion and the Haran du Val d'Or are proof that a conspiracy of epic proportions was at play behind the broader political scheme. The end of the First World War resulted in Kaiser Wilhelm I being banished to Belgium and the removal of the Habsburgs from the throne of the Second Empire. The global hegemony of great king and pope was delayed. The Habsburgs' reluctant abdication was upon the assistance of the Allied nations and their Treaty of Saint-Germain. Incidentally, the Order of Saint-Germain is the French Royal Stuart equivalent of the Habsburgs' Order of Sion, each laying claim to genetic superiority and kingship of Jerusalem. Such is the secret subtext of European war and politics. The magically relevant regions of Alsace and Lorraine were promptly returned to the Republic of France through the Treaty of Versailles, which not so much infuriated a young Hitler as his aristocratic hidden masters behind the curtain. While their agenda had brutally backfired, the Great White Brotherhood were by no means beaten, and a simple reversal of the truth, a common propaganda technique, would lead them ever closer to their goal and introduce the world to perhaps their greatest spin doctor. In his popular book, Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler conveniently used the protocols of the Elders of Sion to deceptively prove that a global conspiracy was afoot, but led by the League of Jewish Rabbis. This stirred massive anti-Semitism that ultimately justified the Holocaust to the German people. Earlier in 1919, the newly formed Thule Society had distributed copies of the controversial protocols to troops of the White Russian Army loyal to the Tsar in an attempt to blame the Jews for the ensuing revolution. Although thought by many academics to be a creation of Russian Tsar Nicholas II's secret police, to those aware of occult references, the protocols of Sion clearly show the hand of the Grail Dragon's sovereignty. It is likely the Tsarists altered the text to include traditional Jewish terminology that otherwise had no place in what is obviously a Rosicrucian agenda with Jesuit overtones. Also overlooked in the analysis of protocols is their similarity to the little heard of secret instructions of the Society of Jesus, which outline a goal of bringing in a golden age or millennium with the entire world under the authority of the Pope to enable the second coming of Jesus Christ. Indeed, the Jesuits' secret instructions could be considered a prototype of the protocols of Sion, with its rhetoric or subterfuge such as, we must inculcate this doctrine with kings and princes that the Catholic faith cannot exist in the present state without politics, but that it is necessary to proceed with much certainty. Of this mode, we must share the affection of the great and be admitted to the most secret councils. We must be careful to change our politics conforming to the times and excite the princes, friends of ours, to mutually make terrible wars that everywhere in the mediation of the society will be implored that we may be employed in the public reconciliation. The society afterwards can count on the favor and authority of the princes, procuring that those who do not love us shall fear us. Discovered toward the end of the Holy Roman Empire's 30-year war with itself that resulted in France being given part of Alsace and Lorraine, only to be later claimed by the Second and Third Empires, and cities ruined and millions dead, the Jesuit secret instructions clearly are an inspirational source for the protocols of the Elders of Sion.
Yeah, guess who wrote them? Guess who wrote the protocols?
Yeah, which would be written 200 years later following the formation of ancient and accepted Scottish Rite Freemasonry. With passages such as, quote, if the Pope should return as temporal prince of all the properties, for as much as it is very necessary to extend little by little, with much secrecy and skill, the temporalities of the society, and not having any doubt that the world will enter the Golden Age. There can be no doubt that the protocols of the Elders of Sion are the work of the Jesuits, the European Council of Princes, and their Rosicrucian allies within 33rd degree Scottish Freemasonry. As outlined in the final protocol confirming the roots of King David and training of the king, the Grail Christ bloodline conspirators insist that sensuality, worse than all else, disorganizes the capacity of the mind and clearness of views, and should not be a quality of their king, thus denying any instinctive connection to the humanity in true Jesuit and Rosicrucian styles. There is little in Judaism about the repressing of the senses in order to achieve any kind of kinghood. Following the widespread distribution of the protocols by the Thule Society and Hitler's protege, Alfred Rosenberg, it was the added Jewish elements that were seized upon by Hitler's Mein Kampf and Henry Ford's The International Jew. Conveniently, both of these fervently anti-Semitic works chose to ignore the Rosicrucian references of the protocol, and the fact that the Return of the King agenda is not traditionally Jewish or a historical goal of Jewish Zionism, but the secret goal of the Catholic/Rosicrucian Grail elites. Perhaps the popularization of the altered protocols was an attempt at damage control and a pointing of the finger away from the true authors as their actual neo-feudalistic agenda was becoming known by political and occult scholars, or something even more nefarious. It is hardly, this is a quote, it is hardly credible that the baddies would reveal their failed purposes so blatantly, commented Foucault's pendulum author Umberto Eco on the current recycling of the protocols within popular culture and the disturbing rise of crude forms of racism of the neo-Celtic kind. And yet the use of the protocols was the primary justification for the Holocaust and the attempted annihilation of the Jews, who were regarded as the historical, quote, perfidious enemy of both Jesuit and Rosicrucian elites. Hitler's Third Empire would go one step further than theosophy, taking Rosicrucian occult theories directly to the working class people of Germany, and openly running the country according to their principles. Their use of Rosicrucian symbolism, the swastika, the Nuremberg rallies, rituals, and inner occult orders within Himmler's SS, who, like the Knights of Malta and Dragon Court, insisted upon a long heritage of pure Aryan blood before initiation, clearly illustrates how linked National Socialism was with the secret agenda and beliefs of the power elite. It is clear that the Nazi movement was a new approach to feudalism by the same aristocratic ruling powers. Realizing that some sense of revolution must be fulfilled in the ordinary working classes, Nazism gave the impression of revolution, but in fact, the restoration of the feudal overlords of the Holy Roman Empire at the beginning of the National Socialist deception. Hitler's personal aide escaped his clutches and fled to Britain. In 1939, he wrote this account. This is Herman Rauschning. What will be the social order of the future be like? Comrade, I will tell you. There will be a class of overlords, after them the rank and file of the party members in hierarchical order, and then the great mass of anonymous followers, servants, and workers in perpetuity. And beneath them again all the conquered foreign races, the modern slaves. And over and above all, these will reign a new and exalted, and over and above all these will reign a new and exalted nobility of whom I cannot speak. But all of these plans, the militant members will know nothing. The new man is living amongst us now. He's here. Isn't that enough for you? I will tell you a secret. I've seen the new man. He is intrepid and cruel. I was afraid of him. This is Adolf Hitler, and Hitler Speaks by Herman Rauschning. Hitler could have not expressed the aims of the protocols of the Elders of Zion or the Highlands of Val d'Or more eloquently. Today, the agenda of the power elite continues, using its network of occult and political structures, from the unaccountable Bilderberg Group to the elite of the Dragon Court, from the undemocratic Trilateral Commission to the transnational Knights of Malta. Through their influence and control, the Centrists continue to stay on top of the power pyramid. Regardless of how much global suffering and misery is caused and maintaining anti-democratic structures of a hidden feudalist system, by his own admission, the new head of the European Council of Princes, His Royal Highness Prince Michael Stewart, recently replaced his HSH, I don't know, his something or another, Prince Otto von Habsburg of Austria as chief representative of the 33 royal houses of Europe. These are the 33 Holy Grail bloodline royal families. Boy, they love that number, 33. These are the 33 Holy Grail bloodline royal families who bizarrely claim descent from Jesus Christ, who they believe was a dragon high priest king, and their historical goal remains the same. But who exactly are their allies? Has the Western world finally and completely internalized the values of the Great White Brotherhood? Again, these same secret societies are revealing the inner secrets of their inverted belief system in the hope of converting new followers in key positions of influence. Their philosophers continue to seduce the highest level of the military, politics, and business and reach out to the public through books, lectures, and the Internet. While the economic and political power of the 21st century centerkey spin doctors, such as Sir Lawrence Gardner and Prince Nicholas de Vere, is narrow, their esteemed position and knowledge within occult circles will almost certainly reach many with genuine clout, namely high-level Freemasons and Rosicrucians within the corporate military-industrial complex. While most of the world naively believes democracy has truly replaced feudalism, the concentration of wealth in the hands of a few with majority ownership of stocks, bonds, and real estate, and even the 2000 American presidential elections proves the contrary. The richest 254 people in the world own more wealth than 47% of the entire global population. Right-wing conspiracy theorists mistakenly believe the goal of secret societies is a one-world utopia, our global socialist state, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Synarchy's global village will be ruled by the dark lords from their castles of darkness, reigning supreme, uncontested, and as the past has shown, plotting to starve the poor to feed the rich, while a divided middle class competes for the scraps, a historical socio-political model that is the norm in most developing countries. Undemocratic and inaccessible political and economic organizations, whether ultra-conservative think tanks or globalization commissions, ultimately harness the methods of fascism and are truly the enemies of democratic and open world unity or global village. The biblical struggle against the Antichrist is not some future event. It is history, past and present, and symbolic of the struggle between anti-hero and hero, darkness and light, feudalism and democracy. The likely consequences of the occult conspiracy suggest that the economic, political, and social decision-making of the individuals allied with the aims of the European aristocratic secret society network, whether in the Vatican, the British Crown, the American government, European politics, transnational corporations, or the vast bureaucracy of NATO's military machine, will consciously or unconsciously reflect their initiation, indoctrination, and allegiance to the Aryan, Rosicrucian, white supremacist perception of the world.
Hey, Larry, Constantine wrote that, right?
Yes.
Do you have a year that was published?
It was in I think around 2000, 2003.
Okay.
I can't get the website anymore that I got this from. So that's one of the main reasons I wanted to read it on the air and make a record of it. It's such an excellent work.
Yeah, I remember that website he had, and it just disappeared. I forgot. It was kind of a funny URL.
Well, the thing with Constantine is he's kind of like he lives in the shadows, you know.
Oh yeah.
He puts out his work, but you know he runs and shoots. You know.
Oh no, it's true.
He's got to. From what I understand, people have attempted to kill him on several occasions. I think his home has been bombed. He's been shot at several times. He's not a favorite of the New World Order.
Well, it sounds like the same assassins that went after Zemansky.
Yeah, it could be. Well, you know, I don't think that was the New World Order or the Jesuits that went after Zemansky.
He was drunk.
I mean, you know, they wouldn't do it directly themselves. Yeah, I think he was probably drunk.
No, Constantine.
Some kid with a BB gun, you know.
Well, let me ask you this, because then I'll let you get going.
Sure.
But it's a shame this went by the boards. I don't know if it's preserved everywhere. Do you remember he did a pretty good piece on rock and roll?
Yeah.
Right up there. I mean, you know, it's like McGowan. And that thing disappeared, and I'm so mad. I printed it out, and I don't know what I did with it, and then it was gone. And I don't know that he ever brought that back out again.
Yeah. Well, weren't you telling me that Angie was able to contact him and got a response? I tried at your request, and I couldn't do it.
No, nobody can except Angie. There's a moral here. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll put a wig on next time. And some eyelashes.
I don't think it's going to help, dude.
I know, right. Well, you put lipstick
on a bulldog.
There you
go. Doesn't help, you know.
There you go. Rough. Anyway.
Okay, I'll finish up on this thing pretty quick here.
No problem.
Having internalized their rulers of the universe values, mega corporations and conglomerates backed by the WTO and other spurious organizations are attempting to hold the world to ransom by copyright patenting essential items for basic human survival, such as human DNA, genetically modified rice and wheat that is forced upon third world farmers, and life-saving AIDS drugs, most of which were developed by public-funded universities. While the poorest countries face trade sanctions for trying to stay alive, more elaborate methods of biopiracy are being devised to more effectively steal the natural resources of our world. As drug companies reach yearly profits of over $1.3 billion each, the power elites starve the poor to feed the rich methodology continues into the 21st century. Even the CIA admits in its recent Global 2015 report that the gap between rich and poor will grow greater with the effects of globalization. As South Africa's Nelson Mandela recently asked, there a direct link between Africa's poverty and the Western world's wealth? Well, I think it's pretty obvious it is.
Hello.
According to Rosicrucian logic, this inequality is not only necessary, but vital. The spider's web of cause and effect of safeguarding interest, wealth, resources, and position, and the seeking of supreme and ultimate power, economic, political, and magical, ultimately opposes all progressive moves toward global democracy and freedom, human rights, and social justice, which are perceived as a direct threat to the New World Order, historical agenda of the Great White Brotherhood and their reactionary secret church, with all its various denominations, royal courts, orders, and covens, who find unity of purpose and intent through their Aryan white supremacist belief system. As history has proven, the unacceptable face of Western capitalism hides behind a dragon's mask, and the occult conspiracy continues. I thought that was an excellent article. I wanted to read it mostly in its entirety on the air so that people kind of have a reference.
Now, let this not escape the show, and that is, now he's one of the only, maybe the only, if I want to be truthful about this, writer that I ever came across that put a finger on the Rosicrucians, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had talked to Liam about this, and my thought was that the Rosicrucians really, as far as quasi-secret societies or whatever, have a certain degree of power. I think that far surpasses the Masons. In fact, Liam kind of said, I think that they hold the Masons out basically to get to be the fall guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that all Rosicrucians, for instance, are of that vein, but certainly they have had a lot to, at least to say, if not about, have input into what they would consider the best way for the New World to occur. And one of the things, if you go to soul.org, and that's soul like SOUL.org, take a look at that website, because that's the group that's considered the true derivative in North America of the original Rosicrucians.
Right, they're in Pennsylvania, correct?
Right. It is, I believe, Quakertown.
Right.
And that's where I got that book, The Meneses Chronicles. Very interesting. But I believe that they probably have a lot more to do with the architecture of this NWO under Rome, of course. But they seem to get by without getting anything on them, and I'm really surprised about that. And yet, Constantine's probably the only one who I know that brought them front and center, and that should happen.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the main reasons why Constantine has to hide, because I think he's trying to tell the truth about where the real power lies. And, he nails the Jesuits, the Rosicrucians, and the Vatican. And I think that's where the real power lies. You could also throw in the Knights of Malta. I think they're pretty much on the same plane with those people.
What's interesting, too, is that the trademark of the Rosicrucians as they are displayed to us, and also the image to be consumed by the public regarding the Jesuits, both those organizations are extremely keen and able to create great learning institutions, if you will. Their colleges are the best. They, of course, they don't really contribute much to the public school system except for its demise, which is obviously meant to be that. I mean, it's not by accident this is happening.
Right.
But they, both the Jesuits and the Rosicrucians, are known famously for the kind of education institutions they've created.
Yeah, I saw that firsthand as a kid, doing academic competitions against other schools in the Houston area where I grew up. And the strongest school academically that we competed against was straight Jesuit in Houston. And, those kids were drilled. They were trained, and they were getting one heck of a good education. And they did very well in academic competitions.
You were in competitions other than hot calling?
Yeah. Well, that was, one of our majors.
Right. They couldn't beat you at that one, kid.
That was at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe it. Just because I said lipstick on a bulldog. Well, anyway.
But I'm glad you brought that up. And also, if you go to the soul.org site, and they'll brag on who some of their members have been. And so if you're going to get on the Masons, well, you might as well get on them as well, because they list among their membership such luminaries as Washington and Lincoln.
Right.
So, and you never hear anything about that connection, do you?
No. You know, it's. I think it was William Ramsey who brought up the idea that the top levels of Freemasonry were the apex of a pyramid below a pyramid. You know, and he was saying that he thought that they, you know, that's where they recruited for the upper ranks, was from the upper ranks of Freemasonry, and I think he's absolutely right. It's almost like, I think I used the analogy once where it was like a major league ball club, you know, would use the minor leagues. They would pick the best players, the guys who were coming out on top, you know, had the best batting average, the best pitchers and so forth, and bring them up to the big club.
Well, that explains why I was a porch monkey in pro ball. I was there to fill out a uniform.
Yeah, what's that, the blue, what is it, the Blue Lodge, or I can't remember how that goes.
Oh, the Blue Lodge, yeah, 1, 2, and 3, first degrees.
Yeah,
right?
1, 2, and 3. There you go.
Now, but remember something too. I think in the reading room that you can access through Angie's site, I think I put up the PDF of a book called something about the secret societies and their power in the 20th century, and I believe that obviously the author's name is a pseudonym, Jan van Helsing.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not really sure about the whole thing, but he stated, and I think you might remember this, that there were 99 lodges of 99-degreed secret societies. I'm not even saying it's Masons. And I once said to Phelps, you know, kicking it around, if we don't really understand just how intricate and widespread this conspiracy is, the conspirators are, I mean, if it's all based somewhat on, you know what I mean, like geometry, hence we had the degrees, right? Would it not go to 360? God knows where that would lead you, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I don't know that that's the case, but I mean 180, 360, who knows?
Not being one of them and not wanting to be one of them, for that matter, it's almost impossible to know, because everything is kept totally secret. And if you are fool enough to get out and reveal those secrets, you don't live very long. You get suicided. So I mean, we can only speculate. Certain things we can know, but you know, from their behavior in the outside world. But certain things we'll never know until perhaps they're revealed by God in the day of judgment. I'm just going to say one more thing about the Knights of Malta that was kind of interesting to me. This is also from Constantine in a article called "Shattering the Myths." With more than 11,000 knights worldwide, the Grand Master and Sovereign Council remain based in Rome. Their goal of political feudalism is clearly seen in the actions of Prince Hans Adam II, the Habsburg ruling monarch of Liechtenstein, and a prominent Knight of Malta, a member of the Vatican's Opus Dei, who in October 1999 was reprimanded by the European Court of Human Rights for claiming he had final constitutional authority over his country's Supreme Court. The insignia of the Knights of Malta is the unusual Cross of Malta. That was the original emblem of the Knights Templar before being forced to adopt the Latin cross following the Inquisition. Occult initiates discover that the Cross of Malta is a cryptogram for the goat of Mendes, the occult idol Baphomet, as is the inverted pentagram or five-pointed star that represents the goat's beard and horns. This is a symbol of ruling matter and spirit by the will and a controlled magical direction of sexual energies. Past Grand Masters of the Knights of Malta, including Manuel de Fonseca, are known to have been initiates of the Templar tradition, and according to the Dragon Court's current sovereign Grand Master, Prince Nicholas de Vere von Drakenberg, who is a direct descendant of the originator of the Knights Templar, Godefroy de Vere de Bouillon, the Templars were a, quote, satanic order whose rituals included infanticide, sodomy, and witchcraft. So there are the glorious...
the basic food groups.
Yeah, there's the glorious origin of these people who wish to shove us back into feudalism.
And don't you... I mean, we can more than suspect that those activities are always going on, and every so often, obviously, they pop up in the mainstream news and such, and not that the mainstream is quelling it. It's just that those three activities go on to this day. And when you say something like that, just mention the three again, if you would.
infanticide, sodomy, and witchcraft. That's pretty horrible.
Yeah, and I mean, the one that's not in there is ritualistic killing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, beyond
well,
the
I think
abuse.
That comes under the title of witchcraft.
Well, or infanticide.
I mean, that would come under ritualistic killing.
Well, infanticide too.
I mean, killing children or killing infants especially.
Yeah,
and we know these people sexually abuse children.
Well,
I mean that's been brought out over and over again. Of course, carefully covered up by the press. That's another thing that is really amazes me is how ignorant the American public is about how corrupt the press is. You know, the mainstream media in this country is a total joke. I mean, it's nothing more than a propaganda organ, and we've talked about that many, many times.
Well, the truth is, and that's why when people talk about, this has been a knock I've had on the Patriot idiots, and that is, I mean, how in the world are you going to turn around anything, even in this country, when you have, like I said, 299 million people don't know what's going on, and they will trust, and they also trust mainstream news, as we all did at one time. So we can't say we don't understand why, but there are some.
When I was a kid, I mean, I remember just, you remember the old black and white television set, sitting there being hypnotized and believing everything Walter Cronkite told me. Well,
yeah, and also, I believe. Let me see now. Yeah, it strikes me that Constantine did a story on. You remember Operation Mockingbird? Do you remember that being on his site?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because he nailed both Cronkite and Paley as being intelligence officers who were obviously major principals in the All-Seeing Eye Network, CBS. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to me, while
basically CBS News was an organ of propaganda, especially for the CIA and certain elements of the American government.
I don't know if you remember this one, but I couldn't forget it. You see, this is another one of those things where you go, huh? And that is, I think some mild criticism of Cronkite came down as to why he didn't show more graphic footage of what was going on in Vietnam. And he said, well, at dinner time, I didn't want to upset people.
Right.
Attaboy, Walter. I also find it interesting.
Maybe you should have upset people. Maybe they should have known what was going on and saw the horror of what was happening there.
Well, remember, it's just as bad now because we have no idea what kind of toys are being used. In citizens as well as supposedly the insurgents, as took place in Afghanistan to this day, and also
Iraq. I got news
Iraq.
for people in the Gulf War. The supposed ban on napalm. This is the first Gulf War. I know for a fact from a guy that I used to work with that they used napalm on those people on what they were calling a turkey shoot when the Iraqis were leaving Kuwait. In that long string of people, because he was a medic and he saw what was going on. They napalmed those guys.
Oh, yeah. And I had that in Hearts and Minds.
Critters.
Yep, that was in Hearts and Minds, if you remember when I played the audio from some of the clips of that documentary.
Yeah.
Folks, I tell you what, if you want to see something in the way it was done back then, I mean, this is a real time capsule, but you should see some of the clips in the documentary Hearts and Minds, and you can get that on DVD. And what was really interesting in that is that Eisenhower, and now remember, it really didn't get hot until the end of Ike and into the beginning of Kennedy's regime. Mm-hmm. But there's a clip in Hearts and Minds where Eisenhower's like, why are we fighting over there? That must have been the question, because it was one of these things where it was clip after clip, a collage. And then Eisenhower goes into this thing, well, if you want the tungsten, and the copper that we've so used to, I mean, that was never said again. And everybody forgets that there's the reasons they give us for a war, which is like, the spread of communism, and the real reasons. And damn if I didn't say that. And I'm like, what? And I played that clip as well in one of the old shows. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. But here's another interesting thing, too. Now, I don't know if you listened to While We Slept, and it's not a big deal. But what I mentioned is an incident that occurred in South Carolina when I went to visit a friend's aunt and uncle. And he was in the Navy in the mid-'50s. And he talked about a firefight between Russians and the Navy, his outfit, at the Suez Canal. And, I mean, he wasn't trying to blow smoke. It was like, well, yeah, that happened. And I'm like, what? And see, those are one of those other things that led me to go, what's going on? But here's my point.
There were incidents where there were skirmishes where, U.S. and Russian forces skirmish with each other, I think, from time to time. It's just that nobody wanted to take it to the point of going, full-blown nuclear over it.
Well, what about this? And this is where I'm going to go. Because there was another incident that occurred about 6 or 7 years ago. But, you see, that thing never made the news. They didn't want anybody to know about that.
You're not going to hear about that, no.
But isn't it interesting because it's the real deals that they don't want to get out because that wasn't part of the script. Now,
if it doesn't follow the script, the preordained plan, then, it just can't be allowed to be known to the general public, and nobody really wants to acknowledge it.
Well, it's not supposed to get out there because, after all, that was the real deal. And 2 other stories real quick. Yeah. I remember going over to my webmaster, who at that time was working in the PR department of St. Leo. And he was a decent guy, young guy. And he saw what I was doing, and he had no problem with it, really. I mean, not that he wanted to go down that road, but he was like, he really had no problem with it. One day I went over, and he says, "Did you just see what happened?" I'm going, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "They just bombed Iran." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, somebody just went over and dropped a bomb in Iran." And I'm like, and he was frenetic. He went back into the website, like CNN. He goes, "It was here. I'm telling you." In fact, he goes, "I was going to send you the link. Damn, I should have done it." He goes, they got a report out that they bombed Iran. Like somebody went in and dropped something on an installation, okay?
Yeah.
It was probably Israelis, but the thing is, that never made it because that was the real deal. And, we can't manage that. So it went away. And the last one was, and I think you'll remember this, Larry, and Harry picked up on this. Harry came in one morning and said, CBS Radio. He goes, "Did you hear that a plane taking off from LAX en route to Chicago had a SAMI fired at it and missed?" And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." Do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember that.
And what happened?
That got covered up.
Yes, and Harry...
Yeah, the initial reports were that it was a surface-to-air missile. And, and that was from people who knew what they were talking about. And then all of a sudden, it all got covered up.
Right.
If you don't get it in that first 5 minutes or so, if you don't get the report from that, if you don't copy it, tape it or whatever, then you'll never see it again.
But who knows? Yeah, of course you never know that's going to happen because
right.
Harry's up at 5:00. He listens to it. He's like, "Wow, that's rich." And then they have a guy that comes on there. I think his name was Campbell. He's syndicated as well. I think it might be Pat Campbell. I'm not sure. But Campbell openly said on the air that the story was there and then it's gone, and they kiboshed it, and he had no idea why. So here's what I did. You remember that book that was written about the downing of the TWA jet?
Yeah.
I hate to misquote.
That's the one on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, that was off Long Island. I think it was TWA 800.
Yeah, I remember that. I never could get, I saw a couple of documentaries on it, and it sure looked fishy to me. I mean, it looked like
fishy.
It was brought down by a missile.
What, 100 plus witnesses saw at least 2 what they described as missiles going up in the air.
I remember seeing some of the eyewitnesses saying, "I reported what I saw, and the next thing I know, the FBI's at my house trying to tell me I didn't see that."
Well, Cashel, I don't know if you remember the name Cashel, but he wrote a book about it. And I don't know how I did this, but I emailed him. I said, "Are you catching this story out of LAX?" And he said, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "We'll see what happens." Well, nothing ever did. And I wrote back and going, "Did you come up with anything?" He said, "No." Well, get this. The bottom line was, when that plane landed at O'Hare, they debriefed the flight crew, and they told them what you saw was a bottle rocket. I mean, somebody please shoot me.
Yeah,
a freaking bottle rocket at that.
There's a little bit of difference between a bottle rocket and a missile.
I mean, but can you imagine? And that went out for public consumption. So what do you expect is going to happen in this country? And where I was going before.
And you know what's really sad is there are some dorks out there in the public who are actually buying into that. "Oh, yeah, it was a bottle rocket, Bob." Yeah, sure.
Yeah, bottle rocket. Whoever's making that brand, I want to see him.
Yeah, man,
I'd have a hell of a July 4th.
That's one heck of a 4th of July, isn't it?
Yeah. Or I think I'll go out with my little keychain laser and aim it at a plane. Oh, jeez. It gets so bad. All right, look, what do you want to do? We can break now. If you're finished, we can hold it off, and then we'll break and
we can break now. That'll be fine.
All right, Jim, if you would, you can find the second audio choice. I'm not getting blamed for this one. This is one that Larry wanted also from Huey Lewis in the News. What is the name of that? When the
time has come.
So, Jimmy, you can spin that. We're going to take a break to water the horses. We'll come back. You can ask questions of Larry, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And the sun will shine. Everybody's gonna cheer up, 'cause it's redemption time. Don't you worry about a thing, 'cause you know that things are gonna change when the time has come. What's gonna crumble, fall into the sea. Oh, coming to be humble. Got the cabin. A little rain is gonna fall. But it will only wash away the tears of the soul. Oh. Don't you worry about a thing, 'cause you know that sin is gonna run. You will be guarded from here to kingdom come when the time has come. Yeah. Oh, the best. Wind's gonna rise up, so it's all the way. People's gonna rise up, 'cause it's judgment day. Don't you worry about a thing, 'cause you know that dream is gonna run. You will be honest, not just the sun. We're all the honest, from here to kingdom come. When the time has come, 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 oh, when the time has come, when the time has come, yeah, it's gonna give up, everybody give up, what's gonna come up, all that will be humble, keep stronger, focus on the strongest, will you be when the time has come, 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 I believe the time is up, when the time has come, when the time has come, feel the pain, when the time has come, when the time has come.
All right, we're back for the second hour. If you want to call, and I would say, if you have questions, I mean, directed toward what Larry's done. Also, I mean, anything that's really going on right now. The fact that this is the last time around, you know, let's not even talk about that. But you know, if you got questions, and I've kidded around with people in emails at times saying, look, you know, some of this stuff you want to ask it, you know, ask it this right now, you know, during this hour. There'll be some more audio put up on my website that'll probably appear Monday to include the taping of this and some other ones that I've done in between last weekend and this one. That'll all go up, but understand, too, that the website will disappear the domain is going to be gone on June 16th. So grab what you got to grab if you want to. Also, anything, a lot of stuff's going to go over to Angie, I think, or be eaten. In that section, it's dedicated to the Knoll, which is what the show was once upon a time. And I'll tell you, it was Harry who named the show. From the Grassy Knoll it was. Interesting, too, because I was asked to do a conspiracy column for a newspaper for which I would later work. And I said, fine. I didn't deal with whatever was going to be the name of the column. I didn't know what they were going to do. But coincidentally, and it really was coincidence, somebody just named the column for me, and they called it From the Grassy Knoll, and I had to crack up because both of the titles from stuff I've done I had no control over, and Harry and the editor over at the Zephyr Hills News both called whatever we did From the Grassy Knoll. It later became Beyond the Grassy Knoll, and then we've come to this point, Vyzygoth Raw, Vyzygoth being the handle that I used when I and Harry did a pirate show that began on July 17, 2002. So that's where Vyzygoth comes from. I had never really cared about, not having people know who I am or trying to be incognito. I just kept the Vyzygoth going because it was kind of the hook that took us from the very beginning. And also, I'm sorry, but I got a real problem with people who do like the Keith Hansen show. It's bullshit. It's not okay, fine.
Brought to you by Reynolds Aluminum.
There you go. Right. The major manufacturers of our tinfoil hats. All right. So, Jim, you'll let me know if we got any kind of calls going on. And we had just got done, by the way, talking about the press and when something really that they didn't control. And that's where I was going with the LAX incident, because since it probably was real, and so they didn't want to get out there. It's only the managed stuff they want to get out. And that's why I had to laugh, about that incident, that it was, you watched the suppression of that story take place. So it was really interesting stuff. The other thing, folks, I have to tell you is that I may have to leave for a certain, I won't call it an emergency, but an urgency. I might have to leave. I'm going to, if necessary, leave you here, Larry. If you want to talk to the people, there's no one to talk to. You can talk to yourself. That's fine. So I might have
from the opera Schizophreno.
There you go. The story about Larry is you put him in an elevator, all three of them will have a good time. All right. So like I said, I think I might have to go. So we'll get while the getting's good. I appreciate the fact that you did all that work, and I think a lot of people do too, and you've been told that. But where did you start to do, when did you start to do this kind of research? It isn't something that hits somebody and goes, maybe I'll do that today. What got you?
I could say that, I started when I was in my teens in a way because I was interested in the subject, but I really started doing the research seriously, and I wasn't sure where it was going to go, but I hoped that someday I would find a forum, where I could express myself on these problems, and I found that through your show, and that's great. But I really started in earnest right after 9/11. I knew something, that I had to come up with some way of, explaining to myself, if nobody else, about what was happening and why we were moving the direction we were, and how that it seemed that the world was moving toward a world government into fascism. And I saw how that they were trying to move the United States into a proto-fascist state through a false flag attack. And that's, I guess, around 2002, 2003 is when I started.
All right. I think we have at least one caller.
Sure.
Whoever's out there, come on.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, man. It's Trudeau. What's going on?
Hey. How you doing?
Yeah. All right.
I'm doing fabulous. It's fun listening to this show today.
All right. Do we have somebody on with Michael as well?
I'm sorry. I'll back out.
No, that's okay. Who is this? Who is this?
I'll go together.
All right. Well, just hang in there. We won't dump you.
I'm hanging.
Okay, good. Trudeau, why do you darken my countenance?
I darken it. I just just want to tell you I resent the idea of you naming your show the way you have based on the fact that you didn't want to have an advertiser there. I had to be the Midas Report. Remember that?
That's right. And for folks...
I much rather would have gone with the Michael Trudeau show, just so you know.
You would have?
Well, over the Midas Report, yeah.
Who made you do that, Ted?
Well, I mean, you do the math there.
Okay. All right. People won't remember this, but Michael did an hour on GCN following Alex Jones's 3, and what was nice about it was because after Jones got done, you probably had mild nausea and headaches. And then
you probably had to use earplugs anyway.
Well, I mean, also what was just absolutely outstanding was the intro, and I'll play that later on. And that was you used a clip when you did the intro to Midas Report. That was Alan Thicke, and was that from what movie was from that?
I wish I could remember. I wish I could remember what movie I grabbed that from. But I was, if it weren't for the DVR era, I wouldn't have even caught that. But I had enough time to be able to go backwards, pause it, put the tape in, snag it, and then I was able to use it from there because I could download it right from the. I actually used a VHS to snag it.
That was pretty classic, by the way, and I could tell it was Alan Thicke's voice without a doubt. But I was like, when did he ever do this? I never, knew that he was in some kind of movie that was at least from that soundbite somewhat serious. So, because I always think of him as, doing Dancing with the Stars or something. But and let me just ask you about something, Michael, because I feel firmly in this. When that lineup was around during your days at GCN, they would start with Dave and Joyce, and they would do 3 hours. And I think Derry did an hour, and then it went to Jones for 3 and you for 1. But I'll say this, and I mean you can bust this bubble if you have to, but I found Derry Brownfield probably pound for pound the most honest, and no nonsense person, the host that you had on that station. How'd you feel about Derry?
Oh, I would agree 100%. There are very few shows that were on that I would listen to, other than for monitoring purposes because I'm running the network. But I listened to Derry's show because I liked his show. The other thing I'd say about Derry Brownfield over some of the other so-called talent on that network was he was extremely accommodating. If I needed to have somebody plug something and I called him, he'd plug it. If I had other people that I'd ask to plug it, they'd tell me where to plug it myself.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that sounds like Statmiller, but I said that, not you.
Well, it wasn't even. What's funny about that is out of the group, Statmiller would have probably been more accommodating than some of the other ones. Didn't mean I liked him anymore.
Than
some of the other ones.
Derry did come on with me once, and it was great. I just enjoyed him immensely. He did land property issues. But he was very much a rancher's show host, and that's how he addressed things.
And he was the real deal.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
What he put on air was who he was. Similar to what you've done and similar to what I did. I'm a smart ass, and I did that on my radio program because that's who I am and that's what I do.
Yeah. And I had asked him once, because don't ask me why, but the U.S. Farm Report comes on an independent station here, and it comes on at 5 o'clock Sunday morning. And, I'm, more times than not, with insomnia, I'm up watching it, and I just made it a kind of like a ritual. And I asked, but they said they did some things that I thought were a little questionable, and I even asked Derry about it. I go, what's with them? I mean, have they turned? He goes, absolutely. You're dealing in the world of ConAgra, Cargill, and all that. And, and he was forthright enough to say, no, they took a left-hand turn also.
Yeah.
So.
Like I say, though, the thing about him is if you would have run into this guy in a bar and had a conversation with him, it would have been the same thing you'd heard coming out of the radio show.
I would just tell folks, the individual about whom we're speaking, this would be a pretty good assessment of who he was. I would say it would be Ben Johnson, the actor, on radio. Had a great, had a great Midwestern farmer drawl. I mean, he was just a good guy.
Yeah, he was a real good character all the way around.
Yes.
I think that's just the kind of guy you want to have as a friend. There's no question. He's honest with you. We had our battles on the programming end sometimes, but the thing that I liked, because I had him with everybody, but the thing I liked about Derry is Derry was willing to give and take, not just one or just the other, and that's what made him pleasant to work with.
I usually don't mean this in a very good sense, but with Derry, I do. And that is Derry's persona, his personality, the way he spoke to people. He could sell me my car.
Yeah, you're right about that. There's a guy that could, as they say, sell ice to Eskimos.
That's right.
I'm going to give a quick shout-out to the Irishman who sent his apologies because apparently there's some big soccer match going on over there, and he's in a pub drinking, so he says he couldn't make it for the program.
All right, so what's
my immediate response was, he says, I'm Irish and I'm drinking, so I won't be there. And I fired back, I'm Scottish and I'm drinking too, but I'm doing it in front of the damn computer. What's wrong with you, boy?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the connection between a soccer match and his drinking? He doesn't need anything, It's the old story about he'll drink at the drop of a hat, and he'll drop the hat.
Well, right. That's why I'm drinking because your show's on.
I just snorkeled some Miller. Sorry. All right, Mr. Trudeau, we have a gentleman off from Rhode Island. You can stick with us if you wish.
I'm going to bail out of here, you guys, but I just want to tell you, Viz, it's been an absolute pleasure listening, man.
I appreciate it, and I thank you very much for all the help that you gave me through all those years when Don White was very, very generous, with sending guests my way and vice versa.
Yep, and by the way, nice job, hippie.
Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Talk to you guys later.
Take care, Michael.
I'll tell you, that's one of the big benefits of hanging out with Viz was meeting people like yourself, Michael. Met some really nice people.
You as well, Larry.
Oh, will you guys stop it? We're going to start kissing now? Get out of here. Oh, my God, I'm going to hurl.
All right, I'm going to get my hanky out, but I'll keep
jealous.
All right. And now we go to Narragansett Bay in the great state of Rhode Island. Are you still with us, brother?
Yeah.
All right. Are you going to get any questions or share any pearls of wisdom? I hope not.
No, absolutely not. Don't worry. But I really thank Larry for everything, and Chris, thank you for everything. And I guess Michael Trudeau thinks sounds like it's really the retirement time. I guess it's true, and I'm sorry to hear that. But you really helped out so much for me to put this all together. Larry, I'm also from Houston.
Yeah.
And
my condolences.
I saw Oswald get shot in the TV with my father too.
Yeah.
So we share some things in common. But anyway, I'm glad you're out of there, and I'm Houston, that is, and me too. But I think you're out of there anyway. Austin's great. I love Austin.
Yeah, it's a great town. I really enjoy living here.
I bet. So, I would spend as much time up there as I could. From the time I was born, I just wanted to get to Austin. So,
yeah, that's kind of the way I felt too.
Absolutely. So, nice rolling hills of mid-Texas. I guess if I have a question, it's all about where do you see the empire going in terms of having first a war, or are we going to possibly, as Chalmers Johnson was saying, that it was his hope that it may just implode economically of its own weight, and the devaluation of the dollar before even a war gets started.
But
so,
I
think that's the possibility.
Go ahead, Larry. You go first.
I think economic chaos is going to come to us, and I think I'm not sure exactly when. That's just what I speculate on. Talked to Paul Sandu about that the other day, and he was saying they can really keep things going any way they like for as long as they like. He's seen the way that they manipulate, and by they I mean the New World Order, for lack of a better term. And I do see the United States going into a much tougher economic situation, especially after the election. I don't know who's going to be elected, but we're going to lose either way. And after that election, I think we're going to get much tougher economic times, and I think that's going to push us farther over the edge into full-blown fascist police state. And from there, I think, yes, I think we're going to be involved, maybe not just one war, but a series of wars. And I think that eventually we're going to be pitted against the Russians at some point, and the Chinese maybe as well. And that's just my speculation on it. And I think that that will be the end of the American empire as it is now. I think we'll wind up being a very different place.
History repeats itself, but it does so with a little bit of an affectation or a new twist. I'm not going to make a lot out about it, but I do look at the last two world wars. They came 9 years after a financial cataclysm, let's say. The Panic of '09 was followed 9 years later by our entry into pretty much the end of World War I, but nevertheless that took place. In World War II, you had the market collapse in '29, but the entrenched depression wasn't really called such until '32. 9 years later, you have World War II. So my point is, if there was something like what came first, the chicken or the egg, it would seem that an economic cataclysm would precede a war. And in both times, yes, the war economy definitely did help out the nation. And in that sense, I don't think we're going to change from that script. The amount of years, I don't know. If '08 was supposedly the big one, then I guess you could say, all right, 2017. However, this time around, they're going to go for a global currency, a one world financial system. Right. So things are changing in that sense, but I still think that probably an economic cataclysm will precede a war. And somebody said, I mean, I had Chapman on years ago, and of course I don't like him. I found out what he was up to. But, you know, I mean, it's some things he said that I just couldn't understand. And one thing he said, like in '03 or somewhere around there, he goes, this war, you know, in Iraq or whatever, can't last because we don't have the money for it, so sooner or later it's going to have to end. And I'm like, it always seems to me that there's always room for Jell-O. You know, there's always money for a war. And here we are. We're still over there. We're never going to be able to pay back that debt. So, yeah, I think that we're going to get hit in the balls with an economic situation probably in the next 2 years, and then you figure it out. The war will come after and supposedly be the panacea for the economic woes. But remember, on the other side, it's going to strengthen, as it did in World War I and II, from the League of Nations to the UN. We're going to get another universal organization that ain't kidding. And so this time it's going to happen.
Yeah, they take it in stages, and World War I and World War II were planned out to get them farther along toward the goal of a world government. And it may, as Paul said, he thinks it'll be a series of wars. He may well be right, but at some point in time there's going to be world government, and it's going to have to take a war to do that, as I see it. And I think that's their ultimate game plan. We've always talked about the Pike-Mazzini letter, and I don't think that's real, but I think the scenario proposed in there is real. And I think a Third World War or a series of wars that would be all-encompassing into a Third World War is coming. And when you look at World War II did not start in 1939. World War II actually started at the Treaty of Versailles, and then in the first battles of the Second World War, I should say, were in 1931 when Japan attacked Manchuria. So it was a full 8 years before the Germans attacked Poland.
Right.
And then, of course, it went into another stage when Germany attacked Russia in 1941, and the Japanese attacked the United States in 1941. So it went through a series of leaps.
All right. We're going to have to let you go, Cole. We have two more. It's Jay, right? Is it Jay?
Right.
It was nice talking to you, man. Take it easy. Thank you for the kind words.
All right. God bless you.
Thank you for everything, and both of you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
God bless you.
All right. We have two callers on, and you're both on at this very moment. So who wants to be polite and who wants to come on first?
I'll be polite.
Is that Ted?
No. This is Sherlock from South Carolina.
Oh, okay. All right. And what do we have? Cold in here, too?
That's right. It's Colvin.
All right. Listen, Tony, just hang in there a second. I want to talk to Sherlock. I like him better than you. Yes, Mr. Sherlock, I remember South Carolina. You've emailed me a couple of times, and with pretty good stuff. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Well, I have a question, because I think much as you do, and your guests have all pointed in this direction, is that if Satan is masterminding this and more or less telling, let's say, the Black Pope in the Vatican, and they're carrying things out, what do you think they're waiting on? What's holding them back? Is it some sort of cosmic alignment?
No. You know that we are all guilty of being pretty quick and very premature about when things will happen. I think all of us innately, I think we can admit this. We have this thing about, if you're going to do it to me, will you get it over with? It's like the old story about the Chinese torture. It's not the drops, but the time in between. And I think you, myself, Larry, everybody, Andy and Trudeau, we all kind of figure something's going to happen. And I think it's kind of human to say, all right, man, get it, do it, will you please? And I think that's where we're at. They have their own time frame. Remember, those institutions have been around. The Vatican's been around for, a millennium? Rome has been around
1,700 years.
Yeah, and Rome's been around longer than that. They're not in a hurry. We are. And so I think it comes when it's due. I don't believe that they've been delayed or put off track. I believe it happens when it happens. And in a sense, you could look at it, I guess, two ways, Sherlock. One is that until it happens, enjoy what you can. And then some people say, well, let's just get it on, especially those who have a saving belief in Jesus Christ. It's like, I want to graduate, let me get out of here. So, we've all been very, very premature about forecasting when things are going to happen, but they have their own time frame. They've been around for a long, long time. They're not in a hurry. And in the meantime, they live very well, by the way. So what's the big deal for them and their subsequent generations? So, no, I just think it's when they're ready, and that's kind of, what we have to wait on, whether we like it or not.
Well, it's been an interesting wait.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I felt this way for a long time. My entire life. And you see things coming together, and I think they've got a vice grip on it. And I'm just like the economic situation.
Sure.
I was in the financial services industry. I studied economics, and it's like all the rules have been suspended, that they can do what they want to do when they want to do it. And
right.
So I was perplexed somewhat, on exactly what they're waiting on or what's holding them back. But your thoughts are good.
Well, and look, if there's any preparation to be done, it's not a bad idea to do it. Not with fear. You got the time. We've all had time to figure out what we might want to do, say, if we have an economic collapse. And so, you can use the time wisely. And I guess in a way, there was a time when I'm like, okay, let's get it on. What are you waiting for? But now, I guess, on this side of 60 years old, I'm like, I'll take whatever day I get. And try to enjoy the heck out of it. And that's what I've been trying to share also at the end, and that is, look, what's going to be is going to be. You can do certain things to indemnify yourself, but just to a certain point. After that, look, let's face it. Were kids playing soccer in Warsaw in 1940? Probably. But, did it suck? Yeah. But life does go on no matter what, and you still have that kind of like, every one of us have that little local thing we can do to try to make it the best thing that possible. So, I don't think that you're necessarily wasting time, but I would say, they're the ones who understand what's going on. We're the ones who get disappointed when our scheme doesn't work. But, in the middle, there's life to be lived and things to be done. So I appreciate your call. We have somebody else on the line. So if you have any parting comments, Sherlock, go ahead, babe.
Well, I appreciate it. And you take care of yourself. And perhaps, we can shoot another email or two before it's all over.
Absolutely. No problem. Thanks a lot for calling. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too. Bye now.
Bye. All right, Tony, what's up, buddy?
Yes, it's Tony. I had to do Tony there for a second just because...
I love it.
The guy who I modeled that on is my Uncle Tom up in New York. Passed away last weekend.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
It's a... yeah, go ahead.
I don't know that you've mentioned him to me before, but remember, this goes back to my asking you a long time ago that the Colvin family that I ran into was a pretty decent community, if you will, both in western Vermont and eastern New York. And I think you might remember, Andy, we talked about that, but where was he at?
He actually was in western Vermont. He went up there to pass away at my cousin's near Poultney.
Oh, man, I can't believe you said that because I think you know that I lived in Castleton, and Poultney's the next town over. And I also, the head coach for whom I was an assistant and died very premature was from Poultney, right on Furnace Street, in fact. And I will tell you, it is Poultney High School, right? That's where I saw the Colvins.
Uncle Tom was an amazing guy. He was actually a writer. I didn't know this until just now, that he had written a bunch of stuff. He was a gambler. He played craps, and he used psychic. He claimed he used psychic abilities to win. And he's kind of an interesting guy because he was in the Army. He was my dad's brother, and so he knows some things about that whole story that nobody knows, and I never got it out of him. I was going to go up and see him this year and ask him some questions, but it's funny, I found an old tape of his from the 80s that I'd made where they had the anti-nuke rally. It was 82, and I had a cassette recorder, and I recorded him and my aunt talking about the nuclear rally. And he gave, at the time, what I thought was a crackpot analysis of the world situation. And now that I listen back to it, he was actually right. And his wife, Anne, who was, she did costuming for Broadway people. She knew a lot of people. She actually predicted 9/11, more or less, in that conversation, 1982.
When was the last time you spoke to him, by the way?
Oh.
Or communicated with him in some form?
About 5 years.
Okay.
Not, too long. But I filmed some footage with him the last time I saw him, where he talked about how he used his psychic abilities to gamble.
That sure beats card counting.
Yeah.
They can't get you for that one.
No science. But no, I thought of him and I thought I should call in. And is this really your last show, or has that question already been dealt with? I haven't been listening to the. I just jumped on here because I got home. This is it.
I have some pre-records. Actually, it's records. I mean, it's kind of redundant. But anyway, there's some records I did during the week. It'll all go up, including a tape of this one, probably Monday or Tuesday on the Vyzygoth Raw site. But, yeah, this is it. I mean, I had 2 hiatuses in which I was kind of burnt out and frustrated. But this time, I ain't 50 anymore. And I feel every day of it. So for a lot of reasons, it's time to go. One of the reasons why I cut the email off was because it gets kind of heartbreaking sometimes when people email, people you never even knew were listening, and they say, yeah, we'll miss you and all that. And I mean, I like it. I mean, who wouldn't? But I tell you what, again, this old heart of mine, it's kind of beaten up, and I feel really badly, and I'm about ready to tear up right now. So I just don't need it, you know what I mean? So, and Andy, I got to tell you, I mean, you win the prize. I'll figure out what it is, but you're probably, I can't see any way around it. Sandhu gets close, but you are probably the individual with whom I've done the most audio.
I wish I had a drum here. I could hit the snare.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'll have the sound effect, which I'll enter right here. So Let me take a look at the 140 mark. I'll put it in there. But I mean, you and Adam Go Riley, and I've said this, and we got two more callers, Andy, so I'm going to goose this a little bit. But you and Adam Go Riley, and it never seemed like you should be like as integral to what I've done as you are, because I really don't go that way, except when you guys are around. But for whatever reason, and I've told this to people, both you and Go Riley have been extremely facilitous. You don't make stupid demands. You've been a lot of fun to be around, and you have a pretty blithe spirit, and you also are serious in what you do. And I think Andy will tell you he's going to be coming out with another book very shortly about the Mothman. And I just want to tell you real quick, and we got to go. Mothman came into my mind because we were talking about lawsuits for libel. And one of the famous court cases dealt with the Point Pleasant Bridge collapse because Joe Esterhaus faked an interview with some supposed victims' families. And he was writing for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, and he was sued and he lost. And I did that at Ohio U. I mean, that's where I took the the graduate program in journalism, and he was a student at Ohio U. So the journalism communication law professor never ever missed a chance to call him Joe Esterhaus, the non-graduate from Ohio U. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'll tell you what, honey, he's making about $70 million, and here you are in Athens. So, at any rate, bro.
Well, a couple of thoughts before I go.
Sure.
I was driving back. I noticed that gas prices are now like $4.30 in Seattle, but also that there's an increased number of marijuana clinics. So, in order to not worry about the high gas prices, they're just giving us more pot. So look for that in the future as we descend down the tube of collapse of the society. We'll have more pot, more entertainment. Speaking of which, if you want to hear that interview with Uncle Tom, I'm going to put it on SoundCloud. If you haven't checked it out, go to SoundCloud.com and type in my name or Interdimensional Vortex League, and you'll see a bunch of songs that I've put up that discuss the parapolitical topics I've been interested in the past few years. Also, we had a Mothman sighting 2 days ago in Seattle, and I'm thinking maybe Mothman has entered Facebook or something, because Seattle pretty much nowadays is all about the Yahoo, Google, Microsoft,
Facebook
matrix that's building. Did I mention Yahoo, Google,
yes,
Facebook? All of them are here. I think Mothman's making his move onto the internet, and that's a good thing. And then as far as what the big they have been doing for centuries is passing on the information to their heirs, and I think the last word for me, at least, would be to remind everybody, try to find a way to pass on the information that we've gathered, because the elites are doing that, and that's how they're able to resurrect these different ops. Decades after they were performed the last time, they've got them all in their playbook. They pull them out, and the rest of us just sit there wondering what the heck's going on. But if we learn to pass on our information better, keep it alive, then there's a fighting chance.
All right, Andy, thanks for that. I mean, we'll be in touch anyway, but just not in this capacity. And I thank you for all the time that you did spend with us. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm not just blowing smoke about that, but, you and Adam.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, bro. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Gee, I was going to get it all flowery there, and he cut me off. Damn. Anyway, we got two more callers. Somebody go first.
Hello?
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 Hello? Hello? Hello?
You're on, kid. What's up?
Hello? Is it me?
Yeah, I think so.
Hello? It's Karen. Can you hear me?
Oh, Karen.
Yes,
yes.
we can hear you.
I didn't recognize you with that Canadian accent.
Oh, yeah, without my Canadian accent. Yeah. Oh, I couldn't hear a click, so I didn't know if I was on or not. I couldn't hear.
Oh, you had us worried for a while.
Anyway, Yeah. Well, that whole thing, I like when Andy just said, or Dave, whatever. Absolutely. But you have to remember, Viz, the whole thing, I think I emailed you about it too. It's the conversation. It's the conversation that we're going to miss. If you're not going to do a conversation online, because nobody else does that, you see. It's like you and Gord and Robert and Adam and all this stuff. I mean, that's the thing. It's the conversation. And that's what I'm going to miss if you're not going to do that regularly anymore.
Yeah, you got that right.
So yeah,
but
so that's the thing, because there's nowhere else that you can go, because I listen to a lot of internet radio, as I probably told you, and, it's awfully frustrating, and all you get in the end is the paradigm, which I found myself, it was funny, I found myself last week, in fact, going into the paradigm. I was yelling at somebody. I think I emailed you one time about Jim Quinn I listened to.
Mm-hmm.
He's a conservative talk show host. And sometimes I think he's kind of on the right line, and then I'm thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? He's still buying into the crap, and why am I even listening? So, what it is with you is that we have the conversation that's way outside. It's like when we all talk to our families, and our mothers and fathers and brothers look at us and go, what the hell are you talking about? And that's why it's so cool. So that's why I'm going to miss it,
Well, but the thing is also, you and everyone else, we said, Larry, we all know that we're just like 1%ers. We don't consider ourselves superior or elite, but the thing is, we have at least the capacity to say, okay, just tell me where it's at, and I'll deal with it. This is...
Yeah, it's like the critical thinking thing, which I'm really big on. It sounds kind of stupid to say critical thinking, but it's the idea of just being able to take an idea and think about it and come up with the pros and cons and think about what you're being told,
Yeah, and that's what you guys have. Like I said, there was also a line from Tennyson in his Ode to the Duke of Wellington. He said, rich in common sense. Oh, no, rich in saving common sense. And I'm like, thank you very much. We all have it if we want to use it.
Right.
And I just want to bring up one thing real quick, Karen. I'm going to have to get going. But I had made mention in an email about PhDs, education doctorates are like the cheapest, the worst. I'm sorry, but they are. And I had to laugh because I beat up on them in some emails. And lo and behold, what do we have in Florida but some like PhD in a scientist in college who's going to try to remove a freaking gator who doesn't want to be moved. And I'm like, I don't know if anybody saw that video.
Right, I saw that.
But I tell you what, if that guy doesn't believe there's a God, he's crazy. I would not.
That says it all.
And that's what I'm saying. They have no common sense. Those idiots have no common sense.
No common sense.
To mess around with the business end of an alligator? Give me a break. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen, we'll be in touch no matter what, and I appreciate you calling in the comments, and thank you very much, and I'll be seeing you later.
Okay.
Take off, hoser. Okay. All right, we have someone else.
Yeah.
Huh?
Was that the McKenzie brothers, the hoser thing?
The hoser, yeah, take off, eh?
Yeah.
All right, we have another caller. Come on. You're up, brother.
Hey, Viz.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hey, Viz. Is this me?
That's you.
Hello.
All right. Hey, Viz, it's Bart. I'm calling you from the Blue Ridge Mountains of western North Carolina. How you doing?
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, I just wanted to call in and let you know I've appreciated all that you've done on the air. It's been kind of like an ideological speakeasy to have you on and just listen in. I agree with the last caller. There's not many places you can go to at least listen to these ideas bannered about, people that you can agree with. And I appreciate all that you've done. Some of my favorite programs have really not been politically oriented. I really enjoyed the 6/18/72 program you did about Billy.
Yeah, thank you.
I was out working that day, and your lead into that show was much like what was going on with me that day. I was pretty stoked. I've been working hard outdoors doing some tree work, and I just settled into the program, and I just I revisit that one quite a bit, and also one of your recent Stuff and Things, when you had watched the Parakeet. I really enjoyed that program. I know there was a certain amount of heaviness with you. Our family's going through that. We had the pet to pass last night, but anyway, I just wanted to let you know I really have appreciated it, and I first hooked up with you when you were on with Sharon and Derek years ago, and so I've been able to follow you as things have gone on, and I appreciate all the different folks you've had on. Larry's done a wonderful job with his series, and
thank you.
Also,
I think the people that listen to this show are kind of like the people that are wearing sunglasses in the movie They Live.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, that's when I say like an ideological speakeasy. It's like,
I like that.
Where can you go to just kind of? Where can you go just to have it out amongst friends and just put it all on the table?
There are very few people that get it. There are very few people that get it. And when you try to explain it to them and you try to discuss these topics with them, you're getting that look like, there's a tree growing out of your head, And that gets old. I mean, that's not fun to do.
That's exactly right. The media has done an effective job of placing a firewall in people's brains that it will not let them pass through the veil. And to be able to go through that veil and just exist in a place where other people think, even if I'm not a participant, which I have never been up until now as far as calling in, because I just, I trip over my words and so forth. But that's what it's been for me. It's been that place where I could go, and it's like, cheers, where everybody knows you. Not necessarily that they know my name, but at least we think alike, And
well, it made me
I
feel
appreciate
like when
that.
I started listening, it made me feel like I wasn't isolated anymore. Because I really just didn't know anybody who thought like me.
Exactly. If you could have a Saturday outing, the folks that have been that have run with you would be the kind of folks that I would have over, because you can sit down and not have like-minded folks for just a good time. But Viz, do you anticipate doing anything down the road? I like the idea you threw out here recently about doing maybe a baseball program or something. I've got a couple of folks that have the very same background with you, minor league and coaching and so forth. I thought that would be a great program just to listen into you all. Actually, one of them is a Jersey guy himself. Or any chance down the road you'll be doing anything like that?
No plans right now, and there's some other factors that are going to, mitigate about doing anything. But who knows? But the thing is, look, I mean, we've all said what we've said. I don't really think there's much more to say, and you got to carry that with you. Not that you aren't, but I mean, my fear sometimes, and it's foolish of me to think of myself in this manner, but it's not. I mean, look, I still believe what I believe. I'm still going to be out there, and all of you. You're not going to have a lot of company, but you got it down, and there's, we got to go on. It's had a sooner or later end anyway. But nothing's going to change. And like I said, Angie's going to have some resources up there too for stuff that maybe people never listened to, back in the early days in 02 and 03. So, that I'm not there. I mean, like I said, I'm not thinking more of myself than I should, but look, we all understand. And that's the way we're going to go forward. And it won't be too long, unfortunately, before things get really hairy and people are going to have to really test themselves for what they believe. It's not going to be pretty, but, it can be done. And if I did anything like that to galvanize in people's minds that, yes, we are up against something, but, again, this isn't the end of the road. And, it is what it is. So thanks very much. I appreciate it. You have a hoot up there in North Carolina.
Yeah. Okay. Viz, I think I've got a snail mail from the past for ordering stuff. Would that still be an active or accurate way just to drop you a line or get a shirt from you or something?
There's nothing really left there. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, you can email me at Vyzygoth@hotmail.com. Not Vyzygoth Raw, but Vyzygoth. There's nothing really here anymore. I mean, everything I've got kind of bequeathed to Angie. And, but I mean, whatever. Just email me and we'll talk. There might be something around here. Okay.
Okay.
Listen, guys.
Yeah, again, thanks so much. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
All right. God bless you. Listen, I've got to run. The urgency that I spoke about is now at hand. Larry, I don't mean to lay this on you, but I mean you can finish it out if you don't mind. I'm sorry this happened. So do what you have to, and Jim, if you can talk to Larry as far as how to proceed. I'm sorry for this, folks, and sorry, Larry, that I gotta get going.
That's no problem.
And I'll catch up with you later. So, folks, thank you very much. By all means, if you have questions, direct them to Larry. He's been around for a long time, and he is, well, he's one of the guys, and I love him. So, I'll see you all, and I guess I can't say I'll see you next time. Adios, folks.
See you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Hello, Jim. Anybody home?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Larry?
Yeah, this is Larry.
Oh, hi, Larry. I just wanted to call you in and just say how much I've enjoyed the series with you and Viz. It's been really, really very interesting, and you guys really have a good rapport. I just really enjoyed it.
Well, I'm glad you did. That was the whole idea, was to impart some information. I sat around for years thinking maybe someday I'll have a forum to present some of these ideas that I've been doing research on for quite a while, and Viz provided me with that, and it really worked out real well, at least for me.
Well, it's such a heavy subject, but you guys, somehow, make it a little bit lighter. You know what I mean? Like, you keep some humor in it, you inject humor, and it's just very, very. I really enjoyed it. I just want to say.
Well, I'm glad.
And I learned a lot.
I'm glad.
So I don't want to keep you because I know you probably have a lot of.
No, keep talking. Because I'm not sure where we're going with all this. Viz had to leave, so I'm just trying to fill in until the end of the show.
Well, actually, I do have a question.
Sure.
This guy, I don't know if you ever heard of. Have you ever heard of the you know how Germany is now probably an economic powerhouse, right, in Europe?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a former defense minister, I can't even pronounce his name. It's like Friar Karl Theodor Gutenberg, but he's got 1,000 names, but that's like for sure.
Yes, I've heard of him.
And you've heard of him?
He's a very popular figure in Germany, from what I understand.
Yeah, and his name translates to the Baron of the Holy Roman Empire.
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought it was, and plus he's also helped to build up the military, as I understand it. Like he really made some inroads into building up the military.
He's a very charismatic person, from what I understand. He's a German aristocrat. I forget his entire background, but he's an aristocrat, and he has. A lot of people think that he may become the I forget if it's Prime Minister or President of Germany. I believe it's Prime Minister. And I've read a little bit about him. And
I was just wondering what you thought about.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just wondering what you thought, because I think there's a lot of speculation on the internet, and he might be the Antichrist because he's so popular, and right now he's in a think tank in America, but he's so young
it's
too
really
as well.
Hard to say about that. There's so many people, and over the years, people have predicted. They used to think Mussolini was the Antichrist, and Hitler was the Antichrist, and now we've got people saying Obama's the Antichrist. I mean, I couldn't say. I do know that he's probably a person that will forward the agenda of the New World Order. I think he's a person of interest and somebody you should probably keep an eye on, because he will probably be one of those people that helps bring in the European Union to morph into another the latest version of the Holy Roman Empire, which I believe the revival of the Roman Empire is an absolute essential in the plan of the Antichrist and plan of Satan to bring in world government.
Yeah, and that's why, I guess because of that translation that he's the Baron of the Holy Roman Empire, I just thought that was a little, maybe that's just a generalized.
There are a lot of people that have, the Holy Roman Empire, in their titles. The nobility or the aristocrats of Europe, were, the Holy Roman Empire was in effect from about 800 to, I think, 1806. Started with Charlemagne, and it morphed into, it had different stages that it, took during its I don't know what you'd call it, during its reign, but it lasted for about 1,000 years. At least the first one did. Of course, the second one, as far as I'm concerned, was the Second Reich, which is the First Reich was the Holy Roman Empire. Second Reich was, of course, the Hohenzollern and Habsburg Empire, which was the Central Powers during the First World War, and of course we all know about the Third Reich.
Right, sure. Right, so now it's the Fourth Reich, right?
Yeah, that's the way I see it. You can call the New World Order the Fourth Reich.
Right. And Germany, and really Germany and England and the Holy Roman Empire, I mean, they're at the very top, they're pretty much one and the same, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, the Holy Roman Empire was once described as not being holy, as being not holy nor an empire nor Roman. And what they meant by that was mainly it was a Germanic institution. It was mostly in Central Europe, and it was considered a Germanic institution. But it was an attempt to reunite the old Roman Empire, and that's where it came from. Of course, the holy part of it is obviously the Vatican and the Roman Catholic Church.
Right, the Vatican. Mm-hmm. Right. Wow. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to miss the series.
Okay, well.
But I really enjoyed listening, and I just wanted to let you know.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad that people enjoyed it and were able to get something out of it. That was the whole point behind it, and also to try to present the Lord Jesus Christ as a solution to these problems. And that was the whole idea. Well, that's
good. That's still key.
Well, do you have any other questions?
Well, do you have anyone else on the line?
What's that? I didn't understand you.
Do you have anyone else on the line?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Biz just had to leave, and he didn't give me much more instruction. I thought Jim was going to chime in, but I'm not sure. I've never even spoken to Jim, so I'm not sure where we're going with this. Hopefully somebody else is out there.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anybody else is still online.
Well,
I guess we're still on the air. Don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah. Huh.
So where are you calling from?
Well, this is Rosemary, by the way. I'm calling from Wilmington, Delaware.
Delaware, okay. Never been there.
Right. Well, it's pretty small. You're not missing too much.
That's what I heard. Had an uncle from there, married one of my aunts, my father's sisters. But I've never been there. I'm not sure if they even still live there.
And you're from, I know you're in Texas, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm in Texas. And we've got somebody else on the line. I'm not sure who it is.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll let you go. I enjoyed talking to you, Larry, and thank you very much.
It was very nice talking to you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Larry, Jim said going to the chat room.
Yeah. Okay. we're going to the chat room, you said? Well, I guess the show's over, unless there's somebody on the line out there. Sorry about the stumbling around here on the on the internet, but I don't think anybody else is on the line at this point, and I guess I'm going to hang up and call it a day. It's been really great. If anybody's still listening, appreciate your listening, and hopefully you're able to get something out of it. And hello?
Hey, yeah, Larry?
Yeah.
Larry?
Yeah, this is Larry.
Yeah, I think the message was to go into the chat room.
Okay.
To continue on in the chat room.
Okay. Well, I'm not even online right now. In fact, don't have a computer at my place anymore, so I'm going to have to cancel.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm going to have to cancel out, and I really appreciated everybody listening and everything. So I guess I'll call it a day.
Well, Larry, hey, listen, you've done a wonderful job, and I've learned a lot from listening to your programs. I've missed a few here and there along the way, but I'm going to go back and revisit those as well. But just a fantastic job, and thanks for putting it out there.
Well, I really appreciate it, and God bless you, and you have a nice weekend, and I guess maybe someday we'll talk again.
Yeah, hope to be hearing more from you, okay?
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing a show of my own, but I don't know what all my technical requirements would be right now. I don't even have a computer at the house anymore, so I'm going to have to do something with that. So maybe I'll be on in the future and have my own little show, so hopefully that'll work out.
We'll be looking, yeah, we'll be looking. Maybe we'll see something on Angie's side or somewhere where we can follow it to you.
I'm a contractor guy, so that's something that Viz hung on me a long time ago. So I guess I'll be using that moniker. And yeah, thanks a lot for the kind words. And I think I'm going to say over and out.